We're going to get the operator bands kicked off. We'll see what happens then. Scarz.
We're not in the live stages yet, you can't do it yet.
Am I not allowed?
No.
It's Monty that's going to be our first attacker band taken out by Scarz. Fair enough. Monty push down into server can be difficult to deal with. Good way of brute forcing on.
Or lobby stairs.
Or lobby stairs as well. Plenty of uses for Monty on bank, so that's going to go. Thatcher, okay. Leaves us quite a few options open. We've got the door could be open, so roaming might be a little bit more difficult. We'll see. That's something for us all to keep an eye on as the game progresses. How effective can people be out in the map away from sight?
I wonder if this is trying to force a Kai ban out from at the end here as well, because otherwise Maverick's going to have to get brought along, or as so many teams have fluffed up with them, you're going to have to hope that you're particularly good with the Impact EMP grenade. It's going to be a Castle ban. Now, I love Castle. Every single time he gets picked, I say how much I love that he can transform how a particular site or even a whole map gets played. It can open up corridors for defenders to move through much more safely than if the Castle wasn't there, and just really add some dynamism to particular sites alongside things like the Azami. That's why they're called architects alongside things like Mirror. So with Azami and Castle taken away, this could be a pretty fluid game unless we see Mirror getting brought along a lot. I don't know, I like these bands. I think they're quite different.
So let's get it underway. It's going to be Loss and Scarz. For me, the question mark is over Scarz a little bit more than Loss. We've kind of seen a lot of Loss at this point. We had them in phase one. We saw them yesterday. It wasn't quite as good as we might expect from them yesterday. They have shown us better performances than that. Scarz, obviously, they've only had one coming straight into phase two, and it was a difficult start for them yesterday. So I'm that's why I say for me, the question mark is there on Scarz. I'm interested to see them today and just to see exactly what they bring. It was never going to be an easy start for them yesterday against G2, of course, but you know, this is now an opportunity for them to get themselves into it, get themselves a win, and get started. So we'll see what Scarz can do.
Yeah. And just like last game, you're going to see again Solus, Mozzie coming along, anti-information game. Definitely less tight areas on this map compared to Constant like we saw in the game just a moment ago. So not going to be as effective on bank, although Solus will obviously still catch out an absolute shed load of drones. 3 already gone from the Lost Arsenal that they need to be worried about there in terms of the information gathering. Really, the big one, though, has to no doubt come down to one. The Nook that we still see banned away on this map sometimes. Fantastic for a garage lurk late in the round on the attacking side. And also, of course, the Ying being brought along by Dash. Excellent for executes, excellent for clearing different parts of the map. And Logan has got a wonderful view as he begins that lurk down through garage.
Yeah, he knows what's waiting for him. Peon does see the drone in time, though. Rek is going to pick up Maya to kick things off. We're shy onto Dots as well, so a great start from Scarz so far. I came in saying that the question mark was on them for me. I wanted to see what they were going to be able to do, and, well, question answered. They've got themselves a triple. It's 5v2, and already Lost look like they are out on a limb for the first round.
They are being handed a loss, Tim. That was terrible. Still, for me, their rep planting his feet just inside of Staff and open and just find 2 kills is one thing. Turning it into a flawless round is a different conversation altogether. I had really high expectations, to be fair, of Lost coming into this, but to be fair, Scarz, although they started flat yesterday, we've all been saying they've been building themselves up to be one of the top Japanese teams and have shown that really back in Copenhagen. Many got behind them, many neutrals were really backing them to go far, and obviously they had their run stopped at one point or another, but still a lot of promise in this team too, and if Lost don't show them the respect needed, they will find themselves 0-2 inside of playoffs.
Yeah, Scarz only need to get a couple of wins here. Get a couple of wins and they'll have everybody back on board, you know, backing them. They've shown that they are capable of getting through to those later stages, getting themselves playing in the arena at the end of things, which, of course, is what every team here wants. So they just need an opportunity, and if Loss open the door, I'm sure that Scarz will be ready to step through it. A flawless round then to kick things off for them. Good start. It was just basically winning every gunfight as they came in the as Lost came in the building. They just Scarz were right up there in the face. They were just ready for it, and they just beat them on every one of them essentially.
They
10 seconds to go.
Absolutely battered them, Tim, is the only way I can really summarise it. Here we go then. Round 2 is going to be up on our second floor. Bit of a change in terms of style. Lots of information being brought along by Scarz here. So rather than playing the intel denial game, instead they want to lean into information for their own purposes. So here, looking in towards a couple of shield jigs sit and play behind, and obviously scouts out ahead. You've got the Yokai drones to play behind, the Black Eyes on side. Bunch of C4s, 3 of them, which probably means you want to see someone playing in below and looking to make use of that information that should be scattered around the top floor.
Just sending the yokai drone out to keep a watch over the main lobby, because the default cam in there will get shot out if it's not already shot out. It'll get done very, very quickly. Cameraman's going to be sending the Twitch drones in, again looking for that bit of utility, just as well as information at the same time. Sees the
headshot with the Twitch drone doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. It just sees that somebody's playing outside of stock, though. Information that is important. They know they've got the shield set up there. You know, that's not always the case. And the ping is going out there just to feed that information in as well. With the Ossa just able to play behind that Talon shield on the windows with a little bit of safety. You need to be careful on those windows. You can get hit from inside of sight.
On top of the wall then to keep that electrified off, just in case there's a hard breach pushing through, but I guess really...
That's the risk.
I was going to say,
why you'd do that.
He knew Dots was at the long angle, so I thought, okay, it's quite far from the shield there, and he's just learned that maybe it would have been better to place it a little bit closer to his own feet. But alas, it is what it is. Also try and push through here. Pion playing robot wars with the other drones running around the top floor. Just a bit of a war for utility, a war for information rather than anything else, as Bashoy taken down by Lobin, who was the only player to really have a good game yesterday, Tim.
Shield on window.
Yeah, going to have another Talon shield just applied to those windows, making it very, very difficult for Scarz to move around. They may need to consider a little jump out to take the Ossa down. The problem is that with the Ossa being able to play right up onto that window, almost certainly going to see it coming. Still in a phase of trying to get information gathered here, our loss. They're certainly not in any rush to push themselves on into sight. Scarz are just holding every angle that they can here, but the thing is, every angle is being slowly eroded as Dots goes in, and it looks like he's probably going to think about getting that diffuser down.
Well, he's in. The problem is if he tries to plant here, the crouch position may expose like a leg or something, but Lobin's got him covered. Tayu taken out. There's the yokai drone still to worry about here, which is going to frustrate things, at least for a short amount of time. But we've got to see them scramble here and make something happen. They're already running completely out of time. A flawless round in reverse, Tim. We have really got a game on our hands here with how it started.
Yeah, it wasn't much of an opportunity. It was 1v5, but it just goes to show a few shots missed at the end there. It should have been, you know, probably a reasonably straightforward headshot onto the window there to at least give, I won't even say a fighting chance, but a glimmer of hope, I guess. But you might just, you know, something again to keep an eye on is that, you know, the start of things to come. If they're going to be missing the shots, it's not going to bode well for Scarz. They're up against a team that have got a real good mechanical ability about them, so they're going to get slammed if that's the case. So 1-1 as Lost managed to take a much more convincing second round. Did a great job of creating that space inside of the site, getting in, opportunity to put the diffuser down. It was just, it was good all round from Lost.
It was. And now we go towards Tellers. Don't really see this site all this often, to be fair. Normally it's Staff and Open that is the... I wouldn't even say the tertiary site. It's probably the most dominant site on the map alongside the basement. CEO really being steered away from by a number of teams, you know, for the same reasons arguably the Consulate was just so exposed to those external facing windows that it feels much safer to play down in Staff and Open or down inside of the basement. But here, this can be Tellers and Archives with an extension in towards Staff and Open here. Pion with a single reinforcement coming through lets them challenge on towards the copy window. And Fish, well, Fish like specifically, he could go fishing here to find himself a tasty morsel outside these windows if they aren't careful.
They certainly need to be aware. Taking out the default cam from outside. There's one. Can there be a second? Absolutely not. Maya quickest to react. Cameraman does lose his life, but that's going to leave us at a 4-4. That is, however, the Thermite taken down.
And
if you could choose, if you could choose one, it certainly would have been Cameraman. A good bit of luck for Fish like that.
Certainly no complaints, yeah. And it's the... You look at that and maybe go, well, you're only 1 for 1, so what's the point? It's more the fact that you remove attackers away when they've got this ideal 5-man setup coming in with given utility, given abilities, given, you know, in the case of Cameraman and the Thermite, the ability to open up key walls that they need open very sorely. That's just simply not going to be an option for them anymore. Maya almost being tagged down here as he charged his way out towards Banana. Player down below, a player I think further across as well. Everything really threatening onto the side of Loss here on their attack, and Scarz really trying to make taking this top floor a challenge for them.
Just sending the Ram Gadget in, creating an awful lot of noise. Wreck does take the little fade away. Too late was the cry as the movement of Lobin takes him away from the danger zone there as the Nitro is detonator, gets himself through towards Janitor instead. And I tell you what, this has been a clinical top floor clearance coming in from Loss. They've forced the majority away. They are now using those vertical angles. Washoi's taken a lot of damage as well, as has Maya though. So certainly blows being rained in on both sides. But right now, Scarz have pretty much been forced back to side.
I just love the streak across the ceiling that you get whenever Ram's been used as well. Just opens up so much and invites so many gunfights to happen through these horizontally aligned bars. For sure he's got the right idea. There is a player sat just above him in this spot, but I don't think he really 100% knows. And Dash wants to capitalize, sees the man, shots come on through. That's one more taken out from above.
Yeah, well played from Dash there. Which I was unfortunate. He heard the drone being thrown out, I think it was. So he had a good idea that there was somebody directly ahead above him, but just got a little bit unlucky with his positioning. Obviously couldn't pinpoint it to that degree. Rec is going to be sat watching those marble stairs for anybody coming down, but I would imagine the majority of the push is going to be coming from the main lobby for Lost.
Onwards towards the march. Rec falling down as well. It's good round yet again from Lost, playing in steadily and slowly behind this Ossa. Monty taken away by Scarz. They don't care. They'll just bring along another shield-based operator. One goes down, Tayo. At least has regained control of the top floor, which just presents a little bit of a threat to the attack inside here, but not if they get themselves picked off. Lobin yet again, right place, right time. Lost taking round 3.
Going well. The first round was, it looks like a little bit of a blip. Lost certainly looking more convincing in those couple of rounds, a flawless and then just very solid top floor control from them there. I think we've already spoken about this in that last game of G2s, just how how dominant you can be when you get above like that, get everything opened up. Certainly something that can't be ignored. So that's going to take us into our next round then. Scarz, they need to stop this getting away from them essentially at this point. We've seen it in almost every game of the Swiss so far. I think the Dark Zero and FaZe game was probably the outlier yesterday that went to overtime. Other than that, it's been one team being very dominant in the first half generally, and just sort of running away with things and creating a lead that's been too big for them to be reined back in. So Scarz need to be careful of that.
Well, I did mention without the Kai ban that we might struggle to see them get hatches opened up in the basement, and Lost have responded. They've understood that's the assignment, that they've got to deal with some hatches to get yourself downstairs into the basement in the most effective way. And so they have to switch over to bringing on the Maverick, which, although they were going to, they've actually stepped away from it entirely, Tim. No hard breach on side, but my God, they've got 6 smokes. What are they planning here? Because this is going to be something a little bit special. They're basically just saying, forget about the hatches. We don't want them opened up. Instead, we're just all about some kind of crazy execute through sewers, through garage, down main stairs. Like, what are they going for?
Fishlight once again up there on that top floor. Got a little bit of joy. Didn't really matter in the end, taking out the hard breach, but did get the kill nonetheless. I don't think he's going to be waiting to spring out of the window, but what he is waiting to do is just keep himself off the radar and have an opportunity on the flank later in the round. So we will keep an eye on Fishlight as things progress and see whether Lost pick him up or not. Don't necessarily need to. For a basement attack, it depends how much you're going to rely on those hatches. If Scarz,
a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if Scarz aren't going to play on the hatches, you can, as Lost, as the attackers, pretty much go direct to site if you choose to. It really does depend whether the defenders are using them or not. Of course, if you can get them as the attackers, it's always a powerful option to have as well.
That's why I said I was curious. Unless they've left them open to play through them,
there's Fishlight,
that's a big mistake. Yes, he was up on the roam, up inside CEO at the very start of the round, and now he's going to slowly pull his way back down. But like I said, if they're looking to ignore the hatches and go direct to site here, those smokes will prove handy, assuming they can keep everyone alive. And sure enough, actually, Scarz have left a couple of hatches opened up here, instead of just relying on that and looking to play through it. Shoy finds a second. This whole round is already just falling to pieces as Rec just domes Lobin down on the ground. Whatever they had in mind, Tim, it's not worked.
Place the talonate.
Certainly hasn't, and scrambling has not really been, I think, one of Lost's strong suits so far. Where things haven't quite gone their way and they've had to adapt, they've had to move on. The real strength that I've seen from them is when the plan has worked, essentially. So 2 versus 5, not going to be easy. Maya had a quiet day yesterday and looks, could be in danger of the same thing today, and we know how important he is to this team. Manages to pick up one. Can he get himself a second? No, going to be shut down by Shoy on the tight angle at Beepers. 4 versus 1 now, as Dots has no choice but to move up the ramp and try and find something, but those shots are going to give him away.
He's screwed.
There's absolutely no chance. Moves around, gets caught in the dread mine, and then gets picked up by Rec, and that's going to be Scarz leveling things out. 2-2. Looks like this could be one of the closest games that we've had as of yet. As I said, we had that Dark Zero game yesterday against FaZe, but otherwise it's been quite often one-sided. But this one, 2-2, and we're cruising for a split half potentially.
Really thought we had something exciting coming out from Lost there that they were cooking. Instead, they were trolling a little bit. Tim, even with the hatches being kept open by Scarz to play through them and threaten from them, they still didn't try and push in and take them, which wouldn't be the end of the world. Like, if you do push into there, sure, you can't open the hatches that have been hard reinforced off, but the ones that have been left open, you can still make use of. But they chose entirely to ignore them, send the Ostrin through Garage entirely solo rather than trying to stack the team up, and Lobin for the longest time was alone inside a server as well. Everyone else being picked off by Wushoy, especially on the Roma thing. He got a 2K in that round. Fishlight got an early one too. Picked apart by the Romas, despite picking a team that wasn't really meant to threaten the second floor or the ground floor. Their whole thing was about lots of smokes, overwhelm the site, flood it, get the plant down, get out. But just never really looked to bring that into effect. So again, not quite sure what the game plan was there. Hopefully this round much more improved.
Going to be moving into open area this time for the final site of the map. We've seen all four from Scarz. We've seen Teller's Archives top floor previously as well, so this will lock it up. They're going to go for some top floor attention. They've got the barbed wire up there, and I would imagine looking to hold on particularly towards sort of stock, keep that hatch closed, all the direct verticals above site that we would expect. So loss this time, I don't think you can ignore it. Cameraman went looking for them on the top floor last time and came off worse against Fishlike, so I think get some extra numbers up there, commit to the clearance, go in and find them, and get yourself the man advantage.
Well, I like how this is the round that Scarz has said, let's bring along the Kaid now. As we saw in the last round, they aren't really interested in playing that game against us, so let's just bring it and try and employ it. Now, there are some impact nades on the side, or impact EMPs on the side of Lost in the back pocket of Cameraman. Hasn't always had the best start to rounds so far, has been picked off in a couple, not been super ideal. So they want to make sure these impact EMPs are being used in exactly the right position. If they don't get a drone in there and figure out where the claws are first, that quad wall is staying closed that looks out towards square.
Dash continuing with the droning. Going to find Wreck, and Maya's going to do something about it. The Oryx is going to be taken down. This is what I wanted to see from Lost. Commit to that clearance, get up there in numbers and find your kills. Dots and Maya have done exactly that with the support of Dash as well. So top floor should now be in the control of Lost. They can start getting those verticals open. There's plenty of time. 1 minute 30 left on the clock. If I have a look at the position of the Scarz players, there's at least 2 inside a site. There's actually 3 of them now bottled up inside a site, so there is a real opportunity here for Lost to find a few more kills.
Yes. It's about finding them is the problem, right? Sure, you can start off ahead with the one that you found to date, but it's got to be more than that as well. Got to make sure playing out the rest of the round sensibly and making use of the advantage, and that isn't really the idea to do it. One of the benefits of playing Buck is that you can open things up at range. You aren't a sledge, you have to stand on what you want to open. And I know he didn't really have too many places to go, but Dots has just really laid himself out bare there, skeleton key in hand, not aware of any players below, and just gets domed for free through the floor. It's these small mistakes that will make the difference between being a top 8 team and being a bottom 8 team, I think, in playoffs. And again, the difference there is you play on the main stage or you go home in a few days' time.
As I say, 3 of them bottled up now. This is all on Loss to get themselves into sight, to crack the nut, essentially. The 4th is just off to the side, playing around elevators as well. So Scarz are committed now to this final 30 seconds and holding their angles. Fishlike could be the danger, to be fair. He is playing inside of the elevators on the Valkyrie, and I'm not sure whether Loss are aware of him, and that could be a big flank potential, but he's maybe not going to get the opportunity. It could come from the door of Beepers, though, depending where Loss make the push from. Is going to find a couple of kills. Maya, Lobin will be the ones. Cameraman as well, picking up Fishlike. It's like falling dominoes then. After that first one goes down, everybody follows.
It's a bit of more like an overwhelm and flood the site sort of style. When I saw with 15 seconds to go, we had 2 players just sprinting for what looked like an E-box drop to pushing through kitchen double door. I was a bit nervous. I was like, guys, like, you can't change tack this late in the round. But they bailed on that, and Maya was getting ready to go for a drop and a plant down through stock. However, his team had already flooded the site and got all the kills necessary. So a bit of a smash and grab there. Scarz looking a bit shell-shocked by that round. Not quite sure what happened.
You can see kills just the thing was Lost pushed them from everywhere. If you might not have noticed it, but just as we were watching the push in there, you could see the silhouette off near elevators, which was Cameraman dealing with Fishlike, and they just had a really great read, did Lost, on where everybody was, pushed them all at once. It felt like a real sort of 3-2-1 go kind of push from Lost. Very well coordinated and got a good job done. So that's going to lead us now into round 6. Going to be our final defensive round for Scarz. They're going to take that top floor again. If we have a look, we saw them defend it back in round 2. It was a lost win, and they didn't go back there afterwards. So a little bit of a gamble here for Scarz. If they can't get this site locked down, if they can't find the difference, then Loss are going to be getting a 4-2 half. And it was a very good attack from them, if you remember. They had the Orsa up on the windows, managed to get in, create the space. Dots was able to plant. It was just very, very confident from them.
Cheeky, like that being dug on the floor on the ceiling. I think last time around as well, it was Lobin inside a lobby who got a really nice kill onto, I want to say it was Tayu, who was trying to contest from Banana onto the Ossa plant going down just inside the window. And he got rid of the man at exactly the right time. Tayu removed, and that's when the plant could go down, because otherwise the Ossa was in a spot where when she gets into the plant animation, you'd be able to see a heal or a calf or whatever it might be, and it'd be an easy pick off for Tayu. It was more of a very slow grind through Scarz, picking up 1 kill at a time, here, there, everywhere, before eventually they just had nothing left to resist the plant coming on through.
Cameraman just stealing lots of utility inside of the main lobby, mostly camera-based. He gets himself a vault cam, gets himself a default cam, so he's going to leave Scarz pretty much blinded on that side of the map. Also manages to spot out Washoy playing underneath, Nitro in hand, so the Valkyrie likely to try and continue playing in Tellers and Archives for that potential vertical denial, but having been picked up, needs to think carefully about that, because I'm sure that Loss may look to head on in there and clear him out.
He will do. Again, for me, it's trying to look for that slow grind here to take out these outlier players on the side of Scarz. You've got Rek hanging around towards Stock here. You've got Washoy hanging up on Marble. You've got a couple playing on side. Pion is out towards Banana. These players are pretty isolated. Not too many of them playing very close together right now. And sure enough, they find Rek, and there is just no response from the other side. No one really able to swing and help out. Tayu's not too far away, but he was a bit too late to this party, Tim.
He was. He's just going to keep holding that angle for the time being. Might get a bit of joy, actually. It's all going to depend on the time of his swing. Absolute beauty onto Maya. Just removes his head, and that could be an important kill for Scarz. It leaves Tayu in place. Fishlike is in Janitor as well, and it just creates that line of defense that they've got against this potential rappel in.
Joy snaking his way up. Obviously, he's going to expose himself once he breaches on through, but C4 at the ready could maybe catch someone out here if they get into the right sort of position. They hear the bleepers from behind. Sure, they're going to spin here. They see him, but Washoy, he shoots first. Lobin deleted from the server. And a second as well, as Cameraman tries to work his way through. There's only 2 players left. There's again, I imagine it would be Tayu, but it's actually Pion who's hanging off towards Banana this time. They've got an absolute clean up here. Scarz giving absolutely nothing to Loss in that round.
We did expect that this might be a bit of a closer matchup, as we said, coming into it. But Loss, you've got to say, have made big mistakes there, Des. We've got to call it as we see it and not clearing out Washoy. They saw him very early on Cameraman's drone. They knew that he was playing around main lobby, Archives, Tellers, Square. They've not got him pinned down and dealt with. And guess who comes back to bite you? Washoy in the final stages manages to get a double kill. It just wasn't aggressive enough from Loss in terms of dealing with that player. Had to be taken out and wasn't, and they paid the price.
For me, it was they missed the mid-step. They started out in Stock. They got the clearance there. They got rid of Rek. Great. They know that there's a player inside a Janitor, that there's one inside a long desk, there's one on Banana, and another hanging around on site. Yet, really, their kind of like push forward was coming in from downstairs, and we saw what happened with Shoy. Just completely deleted 2 of them, removed any bite they had in the attack. And the last thing they really had to do was just try and swing in through windows and hope for the very best, in which they're almost guaranteed to get C4 by Washoy, if not for them already being cleaned up by Pion and by Tayu. So they missed out this middle step of trying to establish enough map control that they can make more happen. And truthfully, one player being alone by himself downstairs isn't enough to deal with a would-be roamer. So they've missed that critical step of trying to contain the roamers, make sure all players are stuck on site before they start looking at trying to make an execute happen. Onwards we go then, down into the basement, Tim, for round 7. Obviously do a little side swap here. And Scarz are wasting no time bringing out the double shield set up, the Blitz and the Ossa coming along here.
Yeah, fortunately for Loss, Cameraman has brought along the Clash, which will make it a little bit easier for them to deal with, such as a Blitz push on Tayu. As we've said, Clash just able to directly confront those shields, deal with them. The electricity does damage them through. So whether it's a Monty, whether it's a Blitz, obviously Monty is banned out here, but even if you're taking those alternatives, the Clash is going to make your life a little bit easier. easier. Tayo looks to get straight down these blue stairs, but he's going to find out very quickly that that path might not be as clear as expected. However, Cameraman's taken a few back steps there, doesn't want to overcommit on the clash, has now been forced back towards that server corner. Could be easy for them to isolate him here and deal with the clash.
Well, I was going to say, he's quite dug in here is the only battle. Nice try, I think, there with the impact coming out of Lobin to try and find him, but that's both now gone. He can put these shields down without concern because the only thing left is a C4, and really, you want to be saving that for plant denial. So great work, I think, by Scarz to bait out both impacts.
Yeah, the difficulty in dealing with Cameraman is going to be that they've not got any nades on side, so they're a little bit limited for moving that shield from in front of him, but Rek manages to remove Dash as he finds a kill, and that's 5 versus 4. Garage in the hands of Scarz as well, which is going to start turning Loss's head. There is absolutely no two ways about it.
Perfect drop elsewhere, maybe. I love how Cameraman's got so aggressive here as well, just zapping them both out or trying to at least force them away. And now at this point, with the glass being broken out, perfect. Can't really play behind that comfortably anymore. At the very least, they're going to need to strong arm their way through. Tayo being the charging force may prove to be the answer that they need here. Everything's smoked out, no one can see a thing.
Yeah, Cameraman's playing this really well. At first I thought it was maybe a little bit passive, but just that aggression that he showed there, this was what I was concerned about. You know, the hatch is open, he's in server corner, it may make him easier to deal with, but with the rotation being opened into sight, he's been able to move his way back in, and Cameraman has done a great job of wasting more than 2 minutes.
You got Rek coming up the backside as well. He might find a kill or two for free down here as well. Now they know about his presence, so these other two players are a bit restricted. You kind of got this split 2 and 2 at the minute set up for Loss coming in. Lobin and Cameraman on the clash holding off towards the east. The other two trying to stave off anything else. They've got an Ossa coming in on the east side. Cameraman has stepped in close. Shield goes away. He's flashed out. He's taken down. It's a great response by Scarz into a 4 versus 1, Tim. This one looks done and dusted.
Yep, somehow Scarz just managing to find the ability to crack that defense open. It was looking so good up to 40 seconds remaining, but Dots, he's going to get flashed out by the blitzer position. Nobody wants to find themselves in, and that is an easy clean-up at the end there for Scarz after that diffuser had gone down. And what great explosive power they've just shown there to take the lead 4-3.
I think it was that repositioning where they forced the clash back enough, you know, constant flashes coming in. Every 10-15 seconds, he was full white screened. And they've repositioned the Ossa through the smoke to get her in towards actual server rather than playing at the bottom of blue, and have managed to get that shield down with enough cover from the team where Lobin can't easily step up. And so no one could stop the plant actually going down. Again, paying the price for making use of those impacts early. And I'm pretty sure the C4 was held off in towards the other sites. They couldn't get inside of Orange to actually get a C4 down onto the Ossa shield. So really well read by Scarz. Big work being done by, I forget who it was, pushing up through Garage to separate that team in two and deny away that C4 that could have made all the difference.
I think Cameraman maybe just needing a little bit more support on the clash. One of those operators that is a little bit limited in what they can do sort of in face-to-face encounters. Yes, you want them to slow things down. Yes, you want them to provide information, but you can't allow them to be bullied. They need somebody else's gun working for them, essentially. So this time we're going to be heading to open area. It's going to be that Lost take us to. They are barricading up the main lobby. They're going to have Valkyrie cameras in there as well, so I'm sure Lobin is going to be sort of dipping in and out of there, just looking for those early engagements potentially. Loss, I don't know how to call this really. I look at it and I think it's been so back and forth up to this point. Scarz do take their first attacking round. If they can get another one here and go 5-3, then as a Lost fan, you know, I'm sure that those sat at home would be concerned about that, because it seems like it could get away from them on the defense. Scarz, for the longest time there, didn't really seem like they were going to get the job done, but then out of nowhere managed to secure it. So Lost need to be aware of that.
Absolutely. Well, I knew that the push into the lobby was going to be a thing. Lobin barricaded up that double door, just so they had to break it down and give the indication that the push was beginning. Rek, at the minute, hanging off by himself pretty much entirely out towards the east side on square. He's got a little bit of support from the windows up and towards CEO itself, but I think he was looking and hoping to find someone hanging around White Corridor. Nothing to be found, and also no one playing below for now. Lost just sitting back and waiting.
Rek's been doing a great job so far. He's had some really important kills that have sort of turned the round quite often, either sort of kick-started it or just been at the right time, sort of right place. Washoy is just going to be taking that line of sight all the way down, but at this point there's nobody to be found. Scarz have got themselves that top floor control. Tayo, time to start swinging that hammer, get some verticals and start making it a little bit more uncomfortable for Loss inside of sight.
Also note how the Hibana's here as well, even with the potential to see a Kaid, the impact nades in the back pocket of Rek, looking to help them out with that, even if he's playing isolated off by himself at the moment. Obviously not attacking into the basement where there are, you know, a good few hatches, 4 hatches realistically that you need to get opened up on the top floor. There's only really the one that you have to worry about, at least in this instance. So I can't imagine it's that big a deal if they were to lose it out. It's more trying to look at what they can do with the Ying. For me, the Ying is really going to be the big orchestrator of how this is going to go. Deliberately using only 1 Candela early on to force control of Banana. Not that anyone was hanging around there, but it did force the player in elevators to drop. The rest of them, I imagine, are being saved, ready for a commitment in towards site as we're into these last 45 seconds. And really, that commitment should come via the hatch.
Going to continue waiting for those opportunities, but Loss are pretty much locked in here. They're not going to overextend. They're not going to offer anything up for free, I don't think. And Scarz are going to have to take some action. They can't just hold on forever. Here it comes. Dash moves around on the flank, manages to pick up Pion, and that is a big problem potentially now because they have to deal with Dash, but they don't have time. Rex sees his opportunity. Will manage to find Lobin, but there is still Dash out there. Candelas go in, and bodies start falling. And they're all in the favour of Loss at the minute. Dots and Cameraman finding 2. Dash onto Washoy, and surely with 7 seconds left to go, this is just going to be too much to ask for Scarz. The time ticks down. 1 versus 1. Fishlak has an opportunity to put this down, but it's just going to be a case for Cameraman of coming out and mopping up.
Just hide behind the kitchen counter until the time is right, then you strike, Cameraman. That's the way to do it. Close round. The closest I think we've had so far. I was going to comment earlier on that pretty much every single round we've seen at least 3 players being left alive on the winning side, outside of just 1 or 2. So it has been a pretty close affair overall in terms of the scoreline, but rounds themselves have been extremely dominant one way or the other. This round, at least, I think, showing that Scarz had the right idea, everything was lined up for them, but Lost had a pretty good defense set up on site itself, and they, for playing that turtle style, really got rewarded for it.
This is what we love about Swiss, format in Phase 2. You look at yesterday, quite a few one-sided games. Not really any differentiation between Phase 1 and 2 teams. Some Phase 1 teams had great performances. Some Phase 2 teams had great performances. But one way or another, teams seem to be able to get on top of their opponents. However, we move into Day 2, and already we're on Match 2, and it's getting closer. G2D+ was closer, 7-4. We come into this one, and we're 4-4, we're battling all the way. You just know as each day goes by in a Swiss format tournament that the matches just get tougher and tougher, closer and closer, and all that does for us is throw the entertainment through the roof, and this one is certainly delivering now.
Absolutely. Well, here we go for Tellers and Archives again. We saw it back in that first half, picked up in, I think it was round 3. Has seen, well, assuming we find ourselves going into the top floor at some point in the second half, then both teams will have played all 4 sites on the map, which is showing really where we speak about maps like, think about Nighthaven. Pretty much every site gets played on that map, and normally used to saying only 1 or 2 maps get every site played, but good to see Bank joining those ranks as well.
In goes the Bravo Clutch drone. Going to be grabbing, much the same as Cameraman did, grab that default cam so you can get a little bit of information. Actually a very valuable cam if you're attacking onto Tellers and Archives. It's going to tell you a lot about this main lobby side whilst it's still in your possession. Cameraman currently positioned out in elevators. I'm not sure if they're aware of that or not. Fishlak just grabbing anything shiny and electronic as he passes one after another.
Yum, 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 yum. 3 things taken out on the lobby side of things, certainly can't complain. Again, eyes really fall to the Ying in this round. Follow the Candelas. They seem to be the dictator of where the action is going to happen. So that's one I'm keeping an eye on. No hard breach in back pocket. It's smokes this time around as well. So very much stepping away from that and focusing, it seems for the most part, really on the vertical destruction with Tayu playing on the sledge. Understandably, for this site, you do want that top floor control around CEO meeting to then swing away, open up the downstairs, restrict the defenders, and move forward from there. Rek, once again, though, playing off by himself. He's caught on his crouch walk up through garage. Maya with a good read onto him.
Yeah, he's still got that top floor presence as well. Dots is inside of Janitor at the minute, and Tayu is looking in this position to maybe move forward and clear him out, but Dots ain't going to give you the opportunity. He's not going to come looking for you because he doesn't need to. He's going to stay in there for as long as possible and just keep that hatch. There's going to be a rotation probably underneath it to allow him back into sight as well, so he will need to be forced out of there. Cameraman has just been on the intel pretty much constantly through this round as well. It's, absolutely, he's on the echo, but he's been sat in those elevators for the longest time. Lobin onto Washoy, looking easy for Loss in round 9.
And I think Logan's got the right idea as well. His instant reactions. Am I being pinched? Have I got to watch towards stairs, towards stock, towards anything? And there's just no one really on the side of Scarz ready to try and capitalize off the back of that. So very much a lone agent there with Shoy in his push towards elevators.
Hello.
I mean, a drop in's a new one for sure. Fishlight makes it happen though.
Fishlight looking for a second as well, knows that there's somebody in behind the barricade getting the red ping. Will manage to do a bit of chip damage, but can't get the kill finalised. 20 seconds left to go. It's Dots to get things started again. The Bravo was taken out. Pion will force a man back down elevators, but this is what has been so key about this Lost defence. No matter where somebody has moved, there's been another player there ready to pick up that line of sight in that round. Lost positioned themselves very well. Scarz didn't really do enough to disrupt them. They didn't force them out of any of those positions, and they were able to just pick them up one at a time. Great round from Lost, and that puts them back in the lead, 5-4.
It's very understandable how that round went against them. As we step into a Scarz timeout, we can talk about it a little bit more. Is that for Loban up on that top floor, once he was gone, they just assumed, hey, this means that white is clear. We can now push quite comfortably, you know, down past elevators, wrap round towards site. And the Ying trusted that call, but Dots had already retaken ground by that point, pushed his way down Marble, and just shot the Ying in the back. So that's an example of how small moments of communication, you know, it's clear, then 5 seconds later, it's not clear. I think we once heard the golden rule of only assume information is good for a maximum of 5 seconds. Obviously, the closer to real time you get it, the better, but it doesn't really last very long in a game as fluid as Siege.
No, it doesn't. As you say, you know, constantly things are moving, changing, and you have to adapt to that on the fly. So that's going to be the tactical timeout called in for Scarz. They're 5-4 down now. One more round for Lost will put them on map point. But honestly, round to round, you have absolutely no idea which way this one is going to go. If we look at our next round, which will be round 10, we're going to be down to lockers, I believe. We saw that back in round 7. It was the first defense for Lost, and Scarz were actually able to win it. But if you remember, it came down to that very sort of explosive finish at the end. Cameraman is not going to bring along the clash this time, so the defensive setup will be different. I would expect to see them off in the map a little bit more. You've got the Solis, got Maya on the Legion. I think they'll be the two that will be trying to make it difficult, maybe open the hatch in square, for example, or at least leave it soft, give yourself that option, and just force Scarz really to play through that, because last time around it came down to the last 30 seconds. They didn't even really have to clear too much of the map. It was just about clearing servers. So for me, pile on more jobs for them.
You say pile on more jobs at this point. Scarz have just said, yeah, forget about that assignment over there. We're going for a different one. You got Rashoy coming along on the book this time around, changing away from the Ossa. Probably acknowledging that given the setup they've got, as you say, Denal is a really hard part of this round. With the Kaid on side, the Goyo there, you got the Legion goo mines coming in, you got smoke to deal with. Only a single C4 though, and only one set of impacts. It's a pretty big gamble that you wouldn't see the Ossa coming back out again. Otherwise, they'd have exactly the same issues in this round that they had in the previous one in trying to deal with those shields.
Scarz then starting the clearance, looking to get themselves in through electrical. The question is, do they go upstairs or do they go down? At the minute, Lobin sees somebody up on the rooftop, I think just waiting for an opportunity potentially to hear that drop down near double door. Also knows that somebody could be coming in via copy. Dash manages to pick up Dots. Sorry, Dash manages to pick up Wreck, but not before Fishlight had got Dots. But Lobin taken down in a quick trade by Pion as well. And again, we've just got encounters coming all around the map at the minute, and that's because Lost were willing to play that sort of loose roam game, but with a 3 versus 3, Lost now need to focus on holding on to site, but they've got a long time to hold on with a minute 50 left.
They do, but I think again you'll be ecstatic here as the defender. Sure, you've lost the smoke in the process, but you got rid of the sledge, so 2 nades offline, and the decay tools have also been removed, at least for any that were remaining. Also things like the impact EMPs that were in back pocket, if she had any. No, she did not. If she had them, they'd be gone, Tim, but I think it was flashes that she brought along in this round instead. So that Kaid would have really been really strong regardless, outside of the Maverick being able to open up at least a couple of hatches for them to force their way through. At least the Maverick stands alive, still in the form of fish-like here, so hatches can get opened up.
That's it. Scarz need to get moving. They don't want to leave it too late. Need to get on with it. Pion's been holding the angle in elevators for a while now, but the time is ticking down. That's about 15-20 seconds since we've seen any sort of realistic movement coming out of this Scarz side. Dash knew that Pion was inside of that elevator, but didn't want to take the challenge head on, as I suggested. With only 3 remaining, I think they will have been keen to just, you know, sort of keep what they've got and get themselves back to site to hold on for this final stage.
I was just just about to say he's still got his bulletproof in back pocket, and I'm not quite sure what his game plan is, whether he's forgotten about it entirely or to use it more dynamically when they realise where the attacks are coming from. He's just dropped it behind him so you can see this whole area, also through in towards Vault itself. They will be able to see really the lobby hatch and also elevator as well as the long corridor. So it's a good spot to put it in, but I think he was just waiting to understand where the push was coming from first.
I was just going to say, I think we're going to start seeing those Vulcan canisters popped fairly shortly, and they will burn out a majority of the rest of the round. There's one at the bottom of the main stairs as well. Dash is going to pick up Pion, and this is not looking good as the drop comes in for Scarz, but Fishlight gets himself really hard, tight up against that reinforcement there. Might have an opportunity to stick this, but no, cameraman's aware. Gets through the rotate and picks up the kill before the diffuser can be planted. That leaves us 6-4 now, and Loss, they look like they could be cruising to level up the mistakes of yesterday and go 1-1 in the Swiss. They just need one more round.
Yeah, 3-1 in this half so far. They're making it look pretty easy, and Scarz just not troubling them anywhere near enough. Even sat in that 3 versus 3, you know, everything was very focused heavily on servers, and once we had Bashoy trying to push him for a gunfight on that buck, it really kind of told the story that they would at least guarantee a trade, and then suddenly you're left 1 versus 2 as the planter, and we tend to know how those rounds end, unfortunately, Tim. 6-4, one more round, they're done and dusted. Scarz, they would be 0-2, Tim. Pretty rough first couple of days here in Atlanta.
Yeah, I think Scarz have still got something in the tank here. It wouldn't surprise me if they grab a round and take us to 12. I think the reason that I say that is up here on the top floor, Loss, for me in that last round, have really sort of benefited from unpredictability. They've, as you've said, eaten away at the utility by picking up a couple of kills. Yes, they've lost a couple of the roamers, but it wasn't the end of the world. They then 3v3, and Scarz are missing some sort of critical elements that they might need for that attack. So Loss aren't going to be able to benefit necessarily in the same way up here on the top floor. They can't play the roam game in the same way. They can stick around underneath, but Scarz can largely ignore it if they want to. There's only one nitro on side for Loss. It's in the hands of Dash. He's on the Kaid. He's unlikely, you know, to commit too strongly to playing downstairs, I would have thought. So Scarz, you know, might have an opportunity here.
There we go then, last chance saloon on that top floor. What's it all to come down to? The Blitz and the Ying has really been I won't say a staple, but we've seen it float in and out throughout the half. This time they're really going to the Knights to try and get this one done. They've got the Lion and the KB on side as well, the Juice in from the Finker. Just everything to quite literally throw the kitchen sink at Loss, it feels, on the defensive side. If this can't break through their setup, then really not a lot will, and the game is probably a very deserved 7-4 win for the side of Loss.
Just going to send the nade out to clear the shield. Will do so that's going to make it a little bit more tricky for Dots to hold on to this angle, but he's going absolutely nowhere. He doesn't want to give up that stock corridor just yet, and Scarz a little bit tentative about pushing on into stock whilst he is still there. A couple of flashes going, but there's nothing really there to follow it. The E1D is going to support Tayu in getting up these main stairs, and as you say, that's where the push starts coming. Fishlight manages to get Dash, and it's just kills left, right, and centre. They're all going for Scarz. They leave Loss with a few Scarz after that one and take us to the 12th round.
Fishlight with what, 3 kills in the round as well? I know it's on the back of the classic globals that we just spoke about so much and used to get so frustrated by. Finker, Lion coming in, you had the Coles coming in from DeKB. That's just, everything was there to make that push work. And I think as you can see, or as you saw, Lost were left reeling a little bit panicked by exactly what was going on. So a good round, and they have the chance to get us through to overtime here, Tim, but it's going to need one more round like that.
Certainly is, and that's the thing for me, for Scarz. If you said to me what has been Scarz's biggest problem so far, I think consistency has been the answer. They've had the good ideas, they've had the ability to get in and win gunfights. They just haven't been able to do it consistently round to round to round. You know, winning 2 or 3 rounds in a row has eluded them at the minute. So having to get another one now, and like I said, I just don't feel like that site really suited. We saw a lot of the kills there at the end coming in, and Lost just weren't mobile. They were just sort of stood still in their position, and I just don't feel that it suited them. They've done better when they've been able to be out on their own, where they've been able to be unpredictable, and Scarz have had to go to them for the gunfights. Lost then have generally been able to at least pick up a trade as an absolute minimum, if not come out on top. So being in open area this time, I think will suit Lost a little bit better. They should be able to play more extended towards that top floor, and again, just give Scarz more to worry about.
I mean, you've got the Amaru on side, you've got the Lion on side, you've got the Ying on side. It's very much a rinse repeat, Tim. Although really without the KB on side, that's at least one thing being taken away that is very frustrating. It's more the Amaro that I'm excited about. Now, sometimes you do see Amaro brought along just for the fun of it. It's more about the gun, but given Washoy's current position, he definitely wants to get his way up a hatch here, Tim. There's two of them in below, but they need information to make this work, and here we go. Candela's coming in over the top. They're going to try and make this work. Washoy's in, but he's been dealt with. They had a good read on this one. Myers put him in the dirt, and now with just two left. Well, sorry, down two bodies. They've got to find their way back in somehow. Helped ever so slightly by Rek getting rid of Maya.
Yeah, they're going to have to adapt quickly here because that was obviously the spearhead of the plan, was get the Amaru up the hatch. It was a gamble. It was, you know, throw everything on this one, and it hasn't worked because Loss have killed them all one by one. 3 versus 1 now. Rek has diffuser in hand, but they know exactly where he is. The late trade comes in, and that's going to be Loss taking the game on bank.
A deserved win overall, I think, but one of those games that you look at and probably think there was a few mistakes from both teams there throughout the entire game that suggests, knowing the kind of teams that might be coming up against Lost tomorrow, it's going to be a hard challenge for them to win things out. Again, need more improvement before tomorrow. And on the other side of things,